Hello and welcome to Blue Army TV and welcome to part 2 of the possible transfers video series. We're moving on to the central midfielders and the strikers. This has been recorded right after part 1. It'll be a day after for you watching at home. But we're going to start off very, very recognisably because this is somebody I mentioned last season. It's somebody who was linked with a lot of big moves last season. Didn't come through, but it's Solihull Moors Joe Sabara. He had a very, very good season last season, and he stayed consistent this season as well. He hasn't quite lit the world on fire like he did the season prior, but still only 24 years old. He played 33 games, getting 9 goals from that central midfield spot. Is just a very, very good, consistent player who I think could make the step up to League 2 next season. Will he make the step up to League 1? Maybe is that maybe a step too far? I don't know, but I think it's a realistic one. It's one that if we want, we can go and get, and it's somebody who I think would be a very, very good option to just chuck into that midfield. You know, especially if we manage to keep Moxon. You know, you've got Moxon, Guy, Sabara, or Moxon, Sabara, Charters. It just brings a whole new element to that midfield. He's a very consistent, very exciting, young-ish player from a National League club as well, so we probably wouldn't have to spend as much money as we would if we were buying from a Football League club. Solihull Moors didn't have a very good season this season, but you know, he deserved to be linked with big clubs last season, and he deserves to be linked with clubs again this season, and I hope we're one of them clubs. Similarly, somebody who might be a little bit unrealistic, you will all know him very well, Ryan Crossdale, Stockport County midfielder, 28 years old, played 44 games last season, getting 1 goal. Again, similar reasons. He's not as attacking as Joe Sabara, but he's a very, very consistent, hard-working midfielder. He's still contracted at Stockport, so we'd have to pay a bit of money for him. But he could be one we really look at, and I think he would do well in League 1. I think he would handle the step up to League 1. 28 years old, so he's slightly on the, I say older side, but he's still got a good few years left in him, in his prime. He's one that I would be happy to see come through, and again, he just offers something different in that midfield, but somebody who offers something a little bit more recognisable, something we're more used to, is Leeds Northern Irish international Alfie McKay, who we obviously had on loan for last season. 23 years old, 16 games, 2 goals he got last season. Yeah, he's one that I think Leeds might be looking to sell, and I think he's one that Paul Simpson really likes. I think he wouldn't have came in as a loan signer last season if there wasn't a sort of idea that in the summer he could be one we look to sign. And he has impressed on loan, in my opinion. You know, I think he suffers with being a little bit too similar to Owen Moxon. I think they're very, very similar players where they've got attacking qualities and defensive qualities. They're the perfect box-to-box midfielder. So that he might be a little bit too similar in that regard. But with links to Owen Moxon moving away, if he were to move away, Alfie McKay might be a very good replacement for him. That's not me saying Owen Moxon will leave by any stretch of the imagination, but it would be stupid of me to say that there isn't a chance. And look, Alfie's someone we know. He's a good player. We know he gets on with the people at the club. And especially if we get him on a long-term contract, he's gonna develop into a really, really nice, good young player. Obviously, he's already played international first-team football with Northern Ireland. Could be one to look at, anyways. That's all I'm saying. It could be one that I would not be surprised to see us get. Somebody who I would be surprised to see us get is Darren Aldika. I don't know how to pronounce his name, Aldika, something like that. Chesterfield attacking midfielder, only got 3 goals last season, 24 years old, so just coming out of them sort of young-ish years. He's one that I can't lie, I was looking at when we were in League 2. He's one that maybe might not make the step up to League 1. I wouldn't mind us taking a gamble on him, but I think he's good enough for League 2. I'm not sure if he's good enough for League 1, but if anyone can get the best out of him, it's Paul Simpson. Still only 24. Chesterfield obviously had a brilliant season. Probably should have been promoted if you look at that playoff final. Obviously Notts County, better team over the course of the season, but Chesterfield were right up there with them too. And in a normal season where Wrexham and Notts County weren't breaking stupid records, Chesterfield could have been promoted. And he was part of that team. He was part of a very good, effective Chesterfield team. He probably wouldn't be a starter for me, but he's a very good attacking option to have off the bench. And look, I think Taylor Charles will probably sign his contract. But if he doesn't, then Darren might be a decent replacement in that more attacking role that he likes to play. Another player from the National League, Greg Ollie. And now this one was suggested by a Twitter page called Tom Williams. You'll be able to find him on Twitter. But Gateshead captain, 27 years old, 41 games last season, 5 goals for the struggling North East side. Now, look, Gateshead really did struggle, but one player that was a lot more consistent than the rest was Greg Ollie. Like, he well and truly dragged them to survival last season. And the National League, I seem to be suggesting a lot of players from the National League, but that's just where I'm used to seeing us get players from. Can also play left wing at times, but mainly a central midfielder. 5 goals last season. He's just a good, strong, solid option to have. And that's what we need going up into League One, especially if we're going to be in a relegation fight. Just solid, consistent, good players. We don't really need that sort of like, what I don't know how to describe it, like a Jordan Gibson, I mean. And this is no disrespect to him, but that player that comes in is a bit of a luxury player, but when on his day is really, really, really excellent. We need more players like a Greg Ollie that will just be consistently 6, 7 out of 10 every single week. Similarly, Joe Powell, Burton Albion midfielder, 24 years old, 36 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, central midfielder. Another option is the last of my midfield options, and he was just a player that I thought there wasn't enough League One players on my list, so I decided to chuck him in there as well. Again, coming from a League One side, and one that will be at the bottom of the table fighting relegation with us, you would expect. He might be a little bit unrealistic, but I wouldn't be surprised to see us get him. He's still only 24, plenty of room to improve, has played quite consistently for Burton this season. Might be a decent option, and that takes us to the more exciting part, the part we've all been waiting for. It's the strikers, and there will be some striking appointments in the summer. And I'm going to start off with one that I also said last season, and that I'm sick of seeing it in a Harrogate shirt, and I want to see play higher up the levels. It's Luke Armstrong. Look, 16 goals for Harrogate last season with 6 assists as well. Harrogate are so poor. I know they beat us, but across their season, they were so poor. Striker, I think he's served his time at Harrogate. He is contracted for next season, so we'd have to pay a bit of money, but I can't imagine he wants to be at Harrogate for another season. I think it's impacting his own career. I think he can do a lot better than that. And I think he will do a lot better than that, I hope, with coming to Carlisle. I wanted him last season, but it might have been unrealistic. Now we're in the league above, I think it's a lot more possible for us to do. And Luke Armstrong, I think you put him up front, he causes so many problems. He's just relentless. He's like sort of what people think Paul Mullin is. Just that relentless terrier up forward that's just going to fight for everything. And when he's playing on the opposite team, you get so sick of him. Or at least I have been for Harrogate, because he seems to score every time we play against him. But next on the list, it's Ryan Hardy. Now, Ryan Hardy has been a star for Plymouth this season as they get promoted to the Championship. He is under contract for next season. 26 years old, 44 games, 13 goals. I just feel like Plymouth might think they can do better in the Championship. And I feel like Ryan Hardy will not want to play second fiddle. He could probably do better than Carlisle. I'm very open to that. And this could be an option if we were to get the Branthwaite and the Henderson money. But he's Scottish, he's a very good striker. And I think this signing alone would all but guarantee our survival in League One, because he's just a really good, proven League One player that we know can score goals. Just imagine Owen Moxon feeding goals to Ryan Hardy. That's such a cheat code at this level. But a more realistic option might be Ross County's Jordan White. 11 goals this season, 2 assists. He's 31 years old, so he's coming towards the end of his career. Ross County probably, they look favourites to be relegated this season. Oh, I think they have been relegated this season anyways, their season's over. And I don't think he's going to want to play in the Championship. Jordan White, he's played for Barra in the past, but I think he's better than that now. Jordan White, is one that I think we could easily get. I'm not sure if he's contracted for next season. I don't really care, because if we wanted him, we could get him at this level. And he's an option that I would be happy with us signing, because, look, he's been in such a poor Ross County side this season, who have struggled to do anything. And the fact that he's got into double figures with that team is really impressive, and I think he could do a really good job in League One. Now, for one that I no one will have heard of, absolutely no one will have heard of, and it comes with a story, this one. When I went over to Ireland, I'd say maybe a year and a half ago, and while I was over there, I was in Dublin. I wanted to go to a local football match, and there's a lot of teams in Dublin, and most of them were playing away from home, apart from one, and that was Shelbourne. I've got a Shelbourne scarf over there somewhere from that time. Shelbourne lost that match in I think the 90th minute, but one player that really impressed me while I was over there from the Shelbourne team was a young striker, 20 years old at the time, he's 21 now, Jack Moylan, and he's had a really good season this season, especially, I think it was only a couple of months ago where he scored a really good hat-trick. Only 6 goals and 1 assist this season in 17 games, but you've got to consider that their season over there is very different to ours. They're only halfway through their season. And 6 goals already for a 21-year-old. I know the Irish League isn't high quality, but I think we could mould Jack Moylan into a very, very good striker. He's Irish, obviously. I think he would be a very good one just to take a chance on. There's no risk with him whatsoever, I don't think. I think we can get him relatively cheap, and we've had success buying from Ireland in the past with our signing of Jordan Gibson. And Shelbourne, they're 6th in their league, which sounds good, but when when there's 10 teams in a division, it isn't the best. I think he'd do really well. I actually think he'd do really well. He's very similar to a Ryan Edmondson kind of player, that sort of big target man up front. Great header on him, but he's also got a brilliant strike on him as well. Just go and watch some of Shelbourne highlights. Just after you've watched this video, go and watch some Shelbourne games, and just look at what he does for any goal they score. He seems to be involved, even if not assisting, even if not scoring the goal, he seems just to be there and thereabouts with every goal Shelbourne score when you watch their highlights. And yeah, I think he's a very good striker, and I think he'd do a good job at League 2 level, and I think he could be worth the chance at League 1. Look, which brings us to our last player that I've got written down here. And it's somebody who was at Bradford last season. He's somebody who scored against us in the playoff semi-final. It's Crystal Palace's Scott Banks. 21 years old, Scottish striker. 6 games and 3 assists in 29 games last season. Very fast. I think he only sort of picked up form towards the end of the season. But 21 years old, he will probably be more realistic as a loan signing. But he's one that I think we could get done if we really wanted to. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go back loaned out to a League 2 level, but this seems to be a transfer that a lot of Carlisle fans are keen on, mainly because he impressed against us. But I'll never forget him just absolutely destroying Paul Huntington for pace and cutting it back and scoring. He's got a lot of quality in him, and he's due another good loan season in the EFL somewhere, and hopefully that can be with us. But yeah, that concludes the end of my not so short list. Yeah, that's all, folks. Thank you for watching this video. It's been a real pleasure making these couple of videos, this sort of little mini series. I might make another if we still have lots of transfer business to do by the end of the season, and I have it in good faith that we're going to make quite a lot of transfers this season, despite us not getting rid of many players in the release retain list. I think we're looking to get upwards of 9 players in, from what I've heard anyways. But yeah, let me know who you would sign in them 2 areas, because when you're in League 1 and you could potentially have some money coming in, the summer's a very, very exciting time for a club like Carlisle, newly promoted. Who are we going to get? Are we going to bring in these exciting young players from the National League? Are we going to get our proven goal scorers like a Ryan Hardy from League 1 where we're in at the minute? We just don't know, and it's a very exciting thing, but I think we can all say with confidence, trust Paul Simpson and Greg Abbott, because they very rarely get anything wrong, and I'm so looking forward to this next season, seeing who we sign. Give your ideas in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and in a bit.